Somewhere inside a laboratory, something was created that shouldn't exist. Not a new machine, not a new material, but something far more unsettling. A completely new state of matter. And what makes this even stranger is who built it. It wasn't a secret agency, it wasn't the military, it was Microsoft. And what they created could change everything we think is secure. Earlier this year, Microsoft revealed something they had been working on for years. They called it Majorana 1. At first, it didn't seem unusual, just another step in quantum computing. But buried inside that announcement was something far more strange. Because this wasn't just about building a faster computer, it was about creating something that had never been seen before. A particle that shouldn't behave the way it does. A system that doesn't follow the rules we're used to. And for decades, this kind of thing only existed in theory. And the reason for that goes back nearly a century, to a physicist who disappeared under mysterious circumstances. His name was Ettore Majorana. In the 1930s, he proposed something unusual, a particle that wouldn't have an opposite, no mirror, no counterpart. It would be the same as itself. At the time, it didn't make much sense. Most scientists believed it was just a mathematical curiosity, something that worked on paper but didn't exist in reality. But decades later, that idea started to resurface, not as a theory, but as something researchers were actually trying to find, quietly, inside controlled laboratory environments, trying to recreate something that, until then, had never truly existed. And that's when things started to change. Because this wasn't just a forgotten theory anymore. Labs around the world began trying to bring it into reality, not by finding it, but by creating the conditions where it could exist. Extreme environments, near absolute zero temperatures, carefully engineered materials, designed to behave in ways nature normally wouldn't allow. And slowly, something started to happen. Not a clear discovery, not a definitive proof, but signals, patterns that shouldn't be there, behaviors that didn't match anything known. And for years, it remained uncertain. Until recently, when one company decided to take it further than anyone else, Microsoft. Instead of just studying the theory, they tried to build an entire system around it. A system designed to stabilize something that shouldn't be stable. And that's where Majorana 1 comes in. What makes this different is not just the theory behind it, it's the way they're trying to use it. Instead of building a traditional quantum computer, they took a completely different approach, one that relies on something far more difficult to create, a new kind of state engineered under very specific conditions. Inside these systems, electrons begin to behave differently, not as individual particles, but as something more complex, something that spreads out and becomes harder to disturb. And that's the key, because one of the biggest problems in quantum computing is instability. The smallest interference can destroy the entire system. Temperature changes, vibrations, even background noise. Everything can cause errors. But this approach was designed to resist that, to create a structure where information isn't stored in one place, but distributed in a way that makes it far more stable, almost protected. And that's where things start to get interesting, because if this works, it changes what these systems are capable of. Problems that would take years could be solved in moments. Calculations that are considered impossible today would no longer be out of reach. And that includes the systems we rely on every day. Encryption, security, digital protection. All of it depends on one assumption, that certain problems are too difficult to solve quickly. But if that assumption changes, then everything built on top of it starts to break. And that's the part most people haven't fully realized yet. Because this isn't just about faster computers. It's about changing the balance of what can and can't be broken. Right now, the systems that protect everything around us, banking networks, private communications, secure databases, they all rely on one fundamental idea: time. The assumption that even the most powerful computers ever built would still need years, or even centuries to break certain types of encryption. That's what keeps them safe. Not because they're impossible to break, but because they're simply not worth the time it would take. And that difference is everything. Because once time is no longer a limitation, security stops being about strength and starts being about exposure. Now imagine a system that doesn't follow those limitations. A system that can process problems in ways we're only beginning to understand. Not incrementally faster, but fundamentally different. That's the shift. And that's what makes this so difficult to fully grasp. Because it doesn't just improve what we already have, it changes the rules entirely. And when the rules change, everything built on top of them becomes uncertain. If a system like this becomes stable, if it scales beyond controlled environments, then the assumptions we rely on today don't slowly weaken, they collapse, all at once. Encrypted data doesn't resist, it gives in. Secure systems don't struggle, they open. And information that was never meant to be accessed becomes available without resistance. And the most concerning part is this: it wouldn't look like an attack. There would be no alarms, no visible breach, no clear indication that something went wrong. Just access, quiet, continuous, unnoticed. And by the time anyone realizes what's happening, the damage wouldn't be in progress anymore. It would already be done. Now, that doesn't mean this has already happened, and it doesn't mean it will happen overnight. But it does mean something very different. For the first time, there is a realistic path toward a system that could challenge the foundation of modern digital security. Not in theory, not someday, but within reach. And it all traces back to an idea that, for decades, was dismissed as impossible. A particle that shouldn't exist, a system that shouldn't work. And yet, here we are, at the edge of something we still don't fully understand. But this is only the surface. Because what this could lead to goes far beyond encryption.